Good morning, everyone. Got your coffee? I've got mine. So, we've got some things to talk about this morning. But before we do that, there are people that I need to say thank you to. I need to say thank you so much to Begum. Begum, thank you so much for your wonderful support. Thank you for supporting the Library Pantry. And I have to say thank you to Patricia. Thank you, Patricia. And to Yolanda C. for buying me a cup of coffee. I appreciate you. And to Yolanda S. for buying me a cup of coffee. I appreciate you. And to Madeline. Madeline, thank you so much for your support of the Library Pantry. Thank you. Thank all of you. With that being said, what the fuck, Dems? What the fuck? What the actual fuck? What was the point? What was the point? The Dems caved. In case this is the first place you're hearing it, the Democrats caved. And they basically gave the Republicans what the Republicans want. They caved. And I don't understand that because the Democrats had the support of the people. We were behind them. Look at all these elections we just gave them on November the 4th. And those elections were, in my opinion, they were kind of like a promise to the party that we're going to hand you these midterms too. Why would they do this, make this move right before the midterms, before we start gearing up for the midterms? If the Democrats were going to cave, they could have caved 30, 40 days ago. Nobody had to go through any of this shit. If they were gonna cave, people didn't have to miss paychecks. People didn't have to miss food subsidies. And all the other things, terrible things that happened as a result of this government shutdown. 2 planes almost crashed, nearly crashed, because we don't have enough air traffic controllers. Look at all these people who were inconvenienced because of this. If the Democrats were going to cave, they could have caved. I would have appreciated if they would have caved 30, 40 days ago. People suffered. And you can't take that lightly. We, the public, let the Democrats know how we felt about it. We said, hold the line. Hold the line. We out here gathering, helping each other, engaging in mutual aid, doing the best we can. The government can't stay closed forever. Hold the line. Over in the village, I posted a video. You'll see Don Lemon, and he talks about the Dems that caved. There was 8 Dems that caved, and he lists those 8 Dems that went over there and caved. And I think that we need to get rid of every single one of them. We need to get rid of every single one of them, because if the party is ever going to have any real power, we have to get rid of all of these Dems that ride the fence or sell us out. Let me tell you what they caved on. What it took for them to cave. These 8 Dems. A promise that the Republicans will discuss extending the subsidies in the Affordable Care Act. That means no, the fuck they won't. A promise. Nothing in writing, just a promise. A promise. They sold out all these people who were suffering, the real people who were suffering, because, you know, those Democrats in Congress, they weren't suffering. They were still getting their paychecks, and they were still eating just fine. And they still had the health care that we are paying for. We the people are paying for. They're going to keep their health care no matter what. And they sold the people out over a promise. A promise. without putting the Obama Affordable Care subsidies back in place. I promise. I am so disappointed. I am so disappointed in the Democrats. How do y'all feel about it? Tell me how y'all feel about it. I can only express how I feel about it. I'm like this was all for nothing. What was the point? I mean, really, what the fuck was the actual point? I just can't believe they folded like that. I mean, just what the fuck? Where's the backbone? Anyway, we need to get them all out of there. Every single person that sided with the Republicans on this, every single Dem, we need to get them out of there. Just no backbone. And it's hurting the party. It's killing the party. It's why people like myself are independents and not Democrats anymore. These Democrats, you all who are Democrats, y'all got to get these people out of y'all party. Okay? Y'all, I mean, no more selling out. And then selling out for absolutely, they sold you out for nothing. For nothing. But let me tell you what. People are going to lose their health care. That's what's going to happen. And this is another consequence of not voting third party, or voting for Trump. That's what it actually all comes down to. That's what it comes down to. You know, I understand that people suffered. I get that. I understand that people suffered. But I told you yesterday, this reminded me like of a strike. You know, during those long strikes, we suffered. We did. But we knew that if we held it, stayed holding the line, that what we got in return would be worth it. And now all these people suffered. And a lot of these same people are not going to have health care. The subsidies won't be extended. What's going to happen to Medicaid and Medicare? The people who voted for this man, a lot of those people have Obamacare. They don't know they have Obamacare. They think they have the Affordable Care Act because they don't know that the two are the same. But they're going to suffer greatly as a result of this, because they're going to gut it, do away with it. And what makes it bad is because they don't have anything to replace it with. The Republicans don't have anything to replace this with. Nothing. People are going to lose access to health care. People are going to die in America. This is bad, in my opinion. This is very, 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 very bad. Healthcare was worth holding the line for. It just was. Anyway, let me switch topics. I wasn't going to talk about this second thing because it's kind of happening on over there. But then they brought a black church into it. I forget the name of the church. Somebody help me down in the comments with the name of the black church that responded to that woman's social experiment. And if you don't know, there's a woman, she did a social experiment. And she pretended to have a baby that hadn't eaten in about 24 hours or something like that. And she called around to all the churches to see if the church would help her. If the churches would help her. I think a mosque ended up helping her. Was willing to help her. Because mind you, it wasn't a real situation. It was just a social experiment. And only one Christian church out of all the, I think she called something like 26 Christian churches. Only one was willing to help her. It was probably more than that. My numbers are probably off. And then someone else was willing to help her too. It was one mosque, one Christian church, but anyway. So she would play a crying baby in the background. And I mean, like, this crying baby was really crying. And she would call people, and all these Christian churches basically told her, no, we won't do that. We don't do that here, that kind of thing. She called Joel Osteen's church too. No surprise that they wouldn't help. Look at how they did the people in when Hurricane Katrina happened. They wouldn't open their church up for people. So we know God ain't in that building nowhere, and ain't been in that building, probably ain't never been in that building. He just has the gift of gab and good caps and gray hair, and that's why people, he's a showman. He's a showman. He has that gift of gab, and that's, what is that, Lakewood Church? And she called a lot of mega churches, but and a lot of people were suggesting churches for her to call when this social experiment really started getting traction. And so this one young lady wanted her church to be called, and it was a black church, and I forget what the name of the church was. I should have wrote that down for you all. But anyway, they didn't help her either. And when it come to find out, when it all came out in the wash, because she listed all the churches that said no. Now, I mean, what's fair is fair. She asked. These churches were unwilling to help a hungry baby. It is what it is. But instead of this black church, just doing what the white churches did and just remaining silent, he got in the pulpit with his mic and started calling her a devil and a demon and calling her actions demonic. That's typical of the black church. It was a social experiment, and mind you, they had the ability to say, yeah, we could help. But they said, no, we won't. And I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I think that this is that she made a good point. The social experiment, she made a good point. Is God really in these churches? Are Christians really good people? Are they really who they say they are? Do they really go by that book they keep on reading and weaponizing against the rest of us whenever we don't behave the way they want? It's a weapon of control and manipulation, in my opinion, but y'all already know that. She asked, and they said no. She wasn't wrong in saying, I asked them, would they be willing to feed a hungry baby? And they said no. All these churches said no. So one church said, we would only be willing to help our members. Go on over to TikTok and type that into the search bar in case you haven't seen that. It's really interesting. I have been following it. And, this is the reason why so many people are leaving the church in droves. A lot of people are waking up to religion and what it actually really is. I can honestly say that had it been me, I already know what I would have done. I would have cashed after. I don't even think I would have bothered anybody at the church if I was the one that picked up the phone. because people picked up the phone. Like, people, they weren't even trying. Like, they didn't call up other members. They didn't see what was in petty cash. They just told her no. I know that I literally would have cashed out her if she said she had a hungry baby at home and I picked up the phone at a church and I called myself a good Christian. But, I wouldn't even have to be in a church to do something like that. There are people, we are careful here at the Library Pantry not to ever deal in cash. And we don't deal in cash because, now, don't get me wrong, we have had people who have tried to get cash out of us. But we never deal in cash because this is not a church. This is my private residence. And we don't want people to think that there's cash inside this house. So we don't deal in cash for safety reasons. And then we don't deal in cash because we don't really have cash to deal in. So we have to keep ourselves safe. But there have been women who've said, I haven't had any diapers or I don't have any formula. And I say, well, where are you at? And I don't even talk to them. I just put it in the bag and drop it off on their porch. I've done it. So I know I would have done it. I know I would have done it. Especially hearing a crying baby in the background. Churches. One church even said that they weren't a charity. The churches aren't charitable. Got that right. Was this a fair social experiment? I don't know. I guess that's the question. I think it was. But to see that one pastor get up in that pulpit and start calling her a bunch of names because they failed the test. I mean, why is she a demon and why is she demonic and why is she evil? Because you all weren't willing to help a starving baby. I mean, this is the brainwashing and the conditioning that goes on in the church. And you hear all the people in the congregation going, amen, yeah, because they want to feel justified and not helping a crying, starving, hungry baby. They want to feel justified in that. They don't want to feel like they're the bad guys. They don't want to feel wrong. But I do at least remember a time way back when churches did what they were supposed to do and they actually helped the people. And they weren't big business. If your church got congregation members standing in line to give you $2,000 or $1,200 and you can buy a $30 can of milk for a hungry baby, why do you even exist? What are you even doing? What is the point of it all if you won't even help a hungry baby? You know, I don't know what else to say other than it's just a disappointing day today. The Dems caving. I'm not necessarily disappointed in these churches and everything because I've known the truth about churches for a long time. But, she just proved it. And the church just got mad because she proved that it's all business for them. It's not about helping people. It's not about helping children. Very few churches out of all the churches. I mean, some churches did, help with this whole SNAP problem. A lot of churches did, but when you're in a nation, when you live in a nation where you have these many churches, should nobody be hungry? Everybody's needs should be met. Don't even get me started talking about the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church, all by itself, could end, they have enough money to end world hunger. That's not an exaggeration. That is the truth. That's a truthful statement. The Catholic Church, all by itself, has enough money to end world hunger. God ain't in these churches. Y'all have a good day. Have a righteous day. Don't be nobody's problem today. If you would like to help out with the Library Pantry, we certainly appreciate it. If you'd like to buy me a cup of coffee or just help out with the platform, support the platform, I'll leave my Cash App and Venmo down in the comments. Y'all have a good day. Have a righteous day. Don't be nobody's problem today. I'm so tired, y'all. And I got so much to do. And I got a sick husband. He's not at work today. He came home early yesterday around noon. He usually gets off at 4 o'clock. He came home sick. And he's in the bed sick now. So, y'all pray for me. These sick men be something else. Have a good day.